Does it?
Should be able to, yeah, if it's got holes,
Nope. Okay.
no, there might be a hole that it sits in more than
Now it's causing problems.
I've tried that before.
I don't think it does.
No,
Okay.
sorry, Eric.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah, it's okay. We'll go with it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's good to be with you all again. It's always so nice to come to your community full of warmth and welcome and kindness and people who have lived substantial lives, and you have a lot to share. So today I'm going to give you a brief update on how things are going at Abundant Grace, and then I want to reflect on kind of what it means to surround pain with love in light of the 1-year anniversary of the shootings in Half Moon Bay. The memorial for that is this afternoon at 4. And last night at midnight, we were woken up with some texts. Apparently there was a shooting at Moon Ridge last night. And we don't have any clarity yet what happened and the kind of the details. It sounds, I don't want to, right now it's in sort of the rumor stage. Sounds like one person was taken to Stanford and is stable. At first we heard the shooter was still at large, and now we don't know. So we just haven't got the right information. It happened late on a Saturday night. Haven't been able to get a hold of anybody at the city. So we don't know. So definitely we want to keep those people and their families in our prayers and hope that folks are safe and okay. One problem, of course, is like the power went out in Moon Ridge last night at 7. There's terrible cell reception up there. It's notorious, as soon as you start going up the road to Moon Ridge, you lose your cell service. So there's lots of things to address, I think, with the community and the city and to make it better. So let me give you a quick update. First of all, every December is a bit of a white knuckler for me as the ED. It's a time where some emotions and feelings are a bit raw. A lot of times, as you can imagine, folks experiencing homelessness do not have great relationships with their family, and they don't have really great memories and connections, and it can be stressful and kind of fraught with energy around that. It's also a time when we're looking at the end of the year and hoping and praying that we make our budget and all those kind of concerns too, which always stress out the year. But we did okay. It's a surprise to me every year since we started. We incorporated in 2014, and every year we just kind of have this razor thin margin, where we somehow receive just a little more than we spent. So it's honestly, I don't know how we do it, but it happens. It's thanks to a lot of people. So we did have a really lovely party at the end of the year. We had karaoke, and Eva and her daughter Alana came. Butch drove the truck, and we had tons of gifts and bags of presents and clothes, and it was really a lot of fun. A couple friends of mine dressed up as Santa and Mrs. Claus and brought little gift cards for everybody, and it was a great event. So thank you for that. 2 more things. We're rolling out a new program this year at Abundant Grace. When we started, the idea was just really basic and zero structure. It was like me and the van, and we'd take people to the farm and we'd pay everybody, and I'd write their names in a notebook. We had no insurance, no accountant, no nothing. It was just really bare bones starting out. It was a lot of fun, and it was really, really great period of time. But we've grown so much since then, and we've developed not only the farm program, but 2 other days of work on the farm that are more personal One is more introspective. It's called the apprenticeship program, where people have to do a deeper dive into some aspect of farm work. They have to study and report back to their group what they're learning about, whether it's irrigation or greenhouse management or pest control or whatever. You know, we kind of build them up, you know. And we do that 6 times a year with 6 people, 6 or 7 people. And same thing with the conservation crew, which is another day of the week. We go down and we work in the non-agricultural area of the farm to remove non-native species, plant natives, repair the creek, and we're working on building a pond. And we teach people environmental principles, leave no trace policies. We teach them about riparian environments, which is usually where they're camping out in town. And then at the end of that 6 weeks, they get to choose a location in town, like an abandoned encampment or a place that needs to be cleaned up. And we go and we clean up and we get a dumpster and we take pictures of before and after, and it's just incredible. We get like 5,000 pounds of trash on average in one day. You know, we really try to teach people how to care for Mother Earth and be more attentive about how they impact the environment. And if you want to go to our website, there's some videos about halfway down the homepage. One of them is our report that we just made to the city about the clean team and the encampment cleanups. And you can see some of those photographs. It's really well done. Finally, I want to share this with you. This is our latest fundraiser. I don't know if you can pass these around. Want to pass these down? This is called Step Up for the Homeless. We do it every February, and it goes for a month. You sign up online, and then you can walk or bike or whatever, swim, and you kind of log your activity and you share what you're doing online on the website. Everybody gets like a peer-to-peer fundraising page, and you can ask your family and friends to help out with Abundant Grace. But it's really fun. Different churches, some fitness clubs over in Half Moon Bay have formed groups, and they do this activity and compete. And then we have prizes. Like last year, Kathy Kuza from Empowered Fitness won the coveted $500 bandsaw, which she still laughs about. So we have a party at the end of it, and it's really fun. It's a party at Abundant Grace, so you can come and see Abundant Grace, and we have a caterer that does the food for free. It's really great. So if you'd like to form a College Heights group, we'd love to have you as part of that. So we are also doing this Milestones program this year, which is the new thing. We have developed 3 levels where we have expectations and enrichments, kind of like, you know, requirements and rewards or something like that. It's a new thing that we're trying to see if it works, but you know, we want to make sure, like in the first level, everybody's got ID, birth certificate, social security card, email, Google Drive, something like that. And then we have activities that we call enrichment activities that we're going to do with them. Simple things like a picnic at the beach, bowling, hike in the redwoods down at Buteno or something like that. And then as it gets more advanced, we're going to do resume building, you know, connect with Medi-Cal and get connected with the medical clinic in town, you know, deal with any health issues, mental health, sobriety, those sorts of things. Kind of, it gets more intensive and deeper as the amount of work sessions they complete. And the enrichments get better too. Like at the end of the year, we're hoping that we have some people in the 3rd level and we can go like on an overnight camping trip at Memorial Park or something like that, you know, and to do something fun where there's a lot of socialization and community building. So that's the development in our programs. So what I want to do is reflect a little bit today on how to surround pain with love. And I picked the Good Samaritan story because I think, you know, there's a lot of layers to it. There's a lot of theological significance to different aspects of that story, but at the core, my sense is Jesus really flips the script on the lawyer, who wants to know who's my neighbor because he wants to figure out who he's got to be nice to in order to inherit eternal life. And Jesus tells the story where the punchline is, who is the neighbor to that person, right? In other words, who's neighborly? And the challenge to all of us is to stop thinking how we can check the box and earn something, and instead, how can we be the vision that we embody in the world, right? How can we engage a situation where there is suffering and not just, skirt around it like the Levite or the priest, but actually engage and demonstrate what love in action looks like, right? So here we are 1 year after the shooting. The journey has been slow and difficult for some. Several folks were in the hotels in Half Moon Bay for quite some time until they were able to secure long-term housing in Airbnbs and rental units. And now all of them are in rental units, and the county has been paying for that. And those who are undocumented have been able to pursue documentation. There's kind of a process federally where if you're a victim of a violent crime, you're eligible to apply for documentation. So they're all doing that who need that. Probably the best news is there are 2 affordable housing projects that are actually moving forward in Half Moon Bay, which is a really great thing. One is at 505 Kelly, I think it is. It's right next to the Catholic Church on Kelly Avenue, just probably 100 yards up from us. And that's going to be a multi-story building for senior farm workers. And then in Stone Pine, the city has some land where they have their public works, and they've carved part of that out where there's going to be about 40 modular homes. And both of those sites will be where the victims from the shootings will be able to live and more. So it's very exciting. It's mostly designated for farm workers. And then I don't know if you saw in the news this week, but the county has been working with the city, and they've just taken some steps forward towards purchasing the nursery that's not too far from Moon Ridge that was sold a few years ago. There was a company that was going to come in and start growing marijuana, and that all fell apart. But the nursery had laid everybody off. I mean, like hundreds of people lost their jobs, and it's been sitting dormant. So now it looks like they're going to turn it into housing, which is a terrific thing. So we'll have a lot of affordable housing units there, which will really take a lot of pressure off. Because about 50% of the Latino community in Half Moon Bay doubles, triples, and quadruples up in housing. So the housing crisis is extreme in the coast side. So my question today, and I want to open it up at the end of this brief reflection, is, what do we do when we are harmed? What happens? And I'm convinced the older I get, and my own experiences and the experiences of good friends of mine, is that none of us get out of here unscathed. Almost every family I know has some kind of struggle or trauma issue with whether it's with their teens or with substance abuse and addiction or health issues. I mean, really, if you think about it, I don't think anybody gets through this without harm and trauma. And when it's a crime, it's even more difficult. So what actions do we take, should we take, could we take? How do we deal with our feelings of loss, of violation, anger, isolation, desires for revenge, loss of peace, a sense of balance, How do we deal with those feelings? Because they're so powerful. How long will I go through these feelings? And how is it that they change over time? They change year by year or every 3 or 4 years. As you grow and you develop and change, you have a different relationship with your past. Is that a healing journey? Are you continually wounded by it? How does that work? So funerals, I was thinking about this funeral that we had a few years ago. James was this young 23-year-old man who was homeless, families in Half Moon Bay. He was in the shelter and really hooked on drugs and drinking, and a lot of us worked really hard to try to help him. He passed away after a fentanyl overdose about 2 years ago, and his mother asked me to preside at the funeral up at Skylon, and a lot of our staff and the shelter staff and other case managers in Half Moon Bay attended. We had, as I said, tried to do interventions with him. We all kind of networked and tried to ask, how can we help this young man? And in the end, we couldn't. It was really painful. As I looked out at the community during the funeral, I saw his family, I saw friends of the family, friends of his mom's work, friends of his when he was in high school. And I realized that we humans are at our best when we surround pain with love. And that's what we're doing. We're gathering around Judith and John and their family. Some of us, tears in our eyes. Some of us staring at our shoes, not knowing what to say. Some of us just trying to hold it together, being there, feeling the empathy and the loss of that experience. It was really, really powerful. And we're doing something that our species has done for thousands upon thousands of years. When we gather as a circle of people who are concerned and compassionate because someone in our community has experienced a deep, deep loss. Not everyone there knew James well. Maybe they knew, just in some period, or maybe they knew his mom, co-worker with his. But you could tell there was that connection, We were gathered in collective sorrow with the desire to be there and to help the family get through those first terrible days and assure them that we would be there in the future. Love is our most important emotion, I believe. It binds communities, it unifies people, it draws two people together as one. It's the bedrock of a family. It's what we all hunger and thirst for, and it's what we most want to share with the people that we care for the most. In our evolutionary development, it's because of our brains and the capacity to manage large sets of relationships and complex relationships that society is even possible. I don't know if any of you read Yuval Harari's book, Sapiens, if you get a chance. Very profound. He writes how Neanderthals could only manage, small numbers of relationships given their capacity. But it's Homo sapiens that had this kind of major development in our brains, and we can manage thousands of relationships. And it gave our species the edge to survive and to grow and develop. And largely that was through those connections, those relationships of mutual aid and defense, right? So it is that love is preeminent, it's prior to pain. Harm is really an interruption and a breaking of what was and what could be, a harmonious relationship with all of creation. The journey through all the various feelings is really a process wherein we explore our feelings and potential alternatives that fall short of the ultimate connection and reconnection with the whole community. We could seek revenge. We could exact justice. We could isolate, lose hope. But the journey of healing has as its destination only one thing: love. Love of self, love of the other, and love of the world as it is. It is full of risk and complexity, which is all worth it, because the greatest of these is love. I'd like to open it up in kind of a dialogue and ask each of you, and in your lives, what happened when there was a big break or some deep harm? How did you process the feelings? How was family and community? What happened over time? How do you see it now? So I know there's a lot of wisdom in this circle. If any of those questions yield some thoughts and reflections you feel comfortable sharing about, the floor is open.